r/AskReddit, what is one random thing that you silently judge everyone for? The lack of spatial awareness on public transport, in particular, people that won't just move up to use space more efficiently, or will stand in the way of other people, or get on public transport as if they were the only ones. If someone gives their child an iPad in a public place with the volume turned all the way up, I immediately hate them. People who don't budge or move at all in the shops or supermarket when they can see you approaching to go past them, and there's no or little space left or right, and when you politely say excuse me, they move 1 millimeter, and then they make you feel like the bad one when you try to squeeze past them. Disrespecting the teacher when he is genuine at teaching and has a good sense of humor. When you are alone with a friend and he or she stumbles on another friend and doesn't introduce you to them. Like, dude, WTF. Making fun of other people's music while they're listening to it is pretty shitty, IMO. How greedy someone is with food that isn't theirs. I hate it when someone takes too much of something at a potluck or somewhere with food. Playing music loudly through their phone speaker in public. When they inappropriately keep checking their phone during meetings, or when having a one-on-one with someone at a restaurant. Totally rude. When they insist on something without knowing the reason for it. If you can't think of a better reason to do something than that's how it's done, then I'm gonna assume there is no good reason to do it. This is so oddly specific, but it drives me nuts when wealthy people behave like everyone else should be wealthy too, and if others aren't, it's because they're lazy. For example, there's a guy I know who's a fisherman. He was poor for years, but then the government restricted and privatized the type of license he has. So through a random twist of fate he went from struggling to being worth millions literally overnight. But he's always on about how people should pull themselves up by their bootstraps the way he did, and it's like, dude, you just got really lucky. Not properly washing their hands after using public toilets. When people drive loud cars, the only person you're impressing is yourself. Your automatic 4-banger Mustang with an aftermarket exhaust is the laughingstock of the community, and you look like an absolute fool. People who talk about others behind their back to me. Having bumper stickers. Doesn't matter what they say, if I'm driving behind someone with a bumper sticker I'm judging. Flicking a cigarette onto the ground. Propping their shopping cart on the curb, or leaving it in a handicapped zone. Not thanking waiters/waitresses when they bring something to the table. Stopping right in the goddamn middle of a doorway to do whatever, talk, decide where they're going, tie a shoe, etc. People who get off the escalator and just stop then and there, blocking everyone behind them, trying to get off without dying. Wearing AirPods like an accessory. I keep pretty good tabs on how selfish people are, both when it comes to their private life and how they feel about society. ML signatures set in Comic Sans. I silently scream at everyone who uses could/would/should have instead of the correct term have, should have, could have. For the love of God, please stop. The noises people make when drinking tea or coffee. The loud slurping the RS make me need to put my headphones on the highest volume, because I literally can't. How they pronounce the word chorizo. Picky eaters. Grow TF up. People who don't use their indicators when driving. Local PD here had to put out a video on Facebook telling everyone how to do it and how it works because of the amount of accidents that occurred by two people going into each other because one wasn't indicating. When people take the elevator to the second floor in the building I work at, it's one flight of stairs people. How often they say like or when telling a story. The more it's said, the lower my desire to hear them out. People who line up to board the plane well before boarding has even started. People who talk with their mouth full. It seems to be somewhat common in northeastern US. You can watch people actively digest their food while they make small talk. I judge people on how much time they spend talking about themselves. People who ride my bumper when I'm already going 15 over. Like, what more do you want me to do? Pass me illegally if I'm that much of an impediment to your progress. So many people think they're a good singer, but pretend to be humble and self-deprecating, but secretly think you'll be impressed, but actually they're bad. whether or not they recycle. It's not that hard to separate your trash, or walk a few more feet to put your can in the recycling bin. Or people who drive to nearby spots like my kid's bus stop. It's less than a block away. People at the office continually exhaling in frustration and annoyance over their own job or small inconveniences. No need to bring the whole office down, because you're just a miserable person. People who stop at red lights leaving a full car length or more between them and the car in front of them, thus making people behind have to sit through the red light again. Or people in the left lane with miles of open lane in front of them disregarding the fact that there are cars 7 deep piled up behind them. Get over. I hate it when a client treats the front staff or reception staff disrespectfully but then acts very nice and respectful to the higher ups or whoever they came to see. Front of the house staff take a lot of BS for stuff they have no control over. People who blame everything that happens to them on other people or circumstances. Sure, you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control your reaction to it, like people who don't clean their house because insert other housemate made things that way, or I can't work on that project right now because I have no motivation, even when you have several hours in the day available to do it and you choose not to. How someone shops at the grocery store. Start at one end and work your way through, unless you're just grabbing a couple of things. Far too often I see people going back and forth over and over again. I don't know why it bugs me so much. Their grocery carts. If you're buying cases of bottled water, I'm 100% judging. Saying I'm doing good vs I'm doing well. How a person treats their family members or the people they're with in public. Bringing more than the blank items or less items into the line. Forcibly burping louder than is socially acceptable every single time you burp. Just why? Inviting themselves to something they are not invited to, or talking too much about themselves. It's a tie. People saying a whole nother instead of another whole. Nother is not a word. People who let the door slam into someone's face, knowing someone is close behind them, and going the same way. Also, people who weave while walking down a hall, going from the left side to the right side, making it impossible for you to pass them. If people can admit it when they are wrong, it baffles me how many people I've met that are so afraid of saying, yeah, I guess I messed up on that. Lack of awareness, whether that be how the things they do impact others around them, littering, revving their engine late at night, etc., or just being unaware of their surroundings. Had a guy looking at his phone walk out right in front of my car from nowhere. I stopped suddenly to keep from hitting him. He looked at me with no expression and went on walking through the busy parking lot while looking at his phone again. Not using their turn signals. To me, it says they don't care that much about being courteous and predictable to other drivers, so I wonder how much it extends into other areas of their life. Grown adults who have those pop vinyl figurines on display in their homes or on their desks at work, who then complain when they run out of money at the end of every month. How much they drown others out when talking. Yes, I'm referring to you, Danny in accounting, who never lets anyone get a word in. Choosing the bathroom stall right next to me in a whole line of stalls. Just why? If they don't say please / thank you / you're welcome / thanks, I assume they were raised in a barn. When people are very proud about ignorance. My husband's cousin, I've never read an entire book in my life. She said it very proudly. I don't even care what you read, that's just ignorant. People who just leave their carts in the parking lot instead of walking the 4 feet to the designated area to put it back so it doesn't go slamming into someone's car. Misspelling people's names when they had the opportunity to check egg in email, the person's name is right there. It shows carelessness. Anyone that consistently cuts you off mid-sentence. If they have to one-up everything. I hate that. How they treat people they perceive as weaker than themselves. Those who treat them fairly are generally good people. Those who abuse them are generally pretty shady. How they treat their friends. I have no respect for people who are nice to people's faces and then cruel behind their backs. Talking on speakerphone in a public place. I didn't ask to hear about your cousin's ingrown toenail. This and people who watch videos on their phones in public without headphones. I know someone who loudly shows me or other friends YouTube videos at restaurants and other public places. I about died from anxiety when she played the Glee cover of Sweet Transvestite from Rocky Horror in a Denny's when it was quiet. Not to mention she's one of those people who shows you a million YouTube videos instead of holding a conversation.